What's up, guys? Welcome back to Jay's Fifth Down Football Podcast. Of course, I'm your host, as always, Jaden, and we have some great things in store for you today on the podcast. Going to recap Monday Night Football action between the Packers and the Rams. It's kind of a crazy Week 15 as we are almost done with this 2022 NFL season, which is crazy to say. It's gone by pretty fast. And we're about to head into postseason play here in a couple weeks. You know, Christmas coming up, very big games this weekend as well, as far as playoff implications and seedings and all those things. So we'll talk about that. But first off, just make sure you guys check us out here on YouTube, subscribe, share with your friends, comment, post. We're here all the time. Also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your favorite podcasts, and TikTok as well. You can find us there and on Instagram too. We are there on those social media platforms, so check us out there. Monday Night Football action between the Packers and the Rams. Rams come in, of course, at 4-9, desperately needing a win here to stay alive in the playoff race. They could not get it, unfortunately, for Rams fans. And the Packers did get the win. They won 24-12. Not a big offensive output game between either team. Just one of those kind of grinding, type of cold weather games that you probably have up in Green Bay around this time of the year. It's pretty cold. I think they said it was like around 20s in at kickoff. So very cold weather game, and expect a lot of pounding the football. And that's what the Packers pretty much did. Aaron Jones finished with 17 carries, 90 yards, no touchdowns. However, A.J. Dillon led the way on the ground as far as touchdowns was concerned. He scored 2 touchdowns, both in the red zone. Just bulling his way into the end zone to score against that Rams defense that was missing Aaron Donald on the interior there. So they did not have him for that contest against Green Bay last night, but they did have Jalen Ramsey, Bobby Wagner, all those guys as well on the defense. And the Packers pretty much did what they want to through the air, on the ground, and the LA had no answer for it. So, just watching that game last night, it made me think like, okay, the Rams obviously dealing with a lot of injuries this year. Cooper Kupp's been hurt, and Matthew Stafford with the concussion protocol, all those things of that nature. And then you're at the point where you really need this win. You need to get in here, come up to Green Bay, get this win, and stay alive in the NFC playoff race, and they couldn't get it done. Baker Mayfield couldn't get it done. He did, however, finish 12 of 21, 111 yards, a touchdown, and 1 interception. So not a horrible game for Baker, but it wasn't that good either. He missed a lot of open throws. Didn't look all that well in the game, but didn't look horrible either. So obviously it just was a game where the Rams really couldn't get anything going offensively that they wanted to, and when you miss guys like Kupp out there on the field, it's hard to just get the ball into one of your receivers' hands consistently and just kind of just be that game changer. And because that's what Cooper Kupp is for the Rams, he is a game changer. He's a guy that's going to just completely alter the whole flow of the game. So they didn't have him out there, and they have been officially eliminated from playoff contention. So now future is lies ahead for Sean McVay and his crew as they look ahead there. For the Packers side of things, Aaron Rodgers finished 22-30, 229 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick as well. So again, not stats are gonna blow you away, but he did pretty well through the air. Christian Watson had a big game too. Just finding those holes in that Rams defense, and using his speed and his size, high pointing the football and making some good plays. Of course, he had one play down in the red zone where Rodgers threw him a pass, but he wouldn't even turn around, and so they had a little miscommunication there. And they asked Aaron Rodgers about it in the post game. He said, "Well, if you want to score touchdowns, you got to run the right routes." That's what he said. So, obviously Christian Watson has had a tremendous rookie year, and he's got a bright future ahead of him as a receiver in Green Bay. I think he's going to be the number 1 guy. Obviously, he's been phenomenal this year as a rookie. Just continuing to grow and improve and strengthen that rapport with Rodgers. So that's just something to compliment the Packers on. And they had a good game plan. Obviously, wanted to run the football, but the big thing that I noticed, and that they mentioned this on the broadcast a couple of times, was the defense. They had one of the worst rushing defenses in the NFL. However, they held the Rams to they held Cam Akers to only 65 yards rushing. which is pretty good considering what they had been giving up previously. So you could tell, the defense was much more disciplined in this game. Guys were flying to the football. They made a couple stops in the backfield, particularly Quay Walker, rookie out of Georgia. He played pretty well last night, and they just let him kind of roam the field, play his game, and he was able to come up with some good stops there. Preston Smith played well off the edge too. So good game plan there from Matt LaFleur and the Packers as they get the win and they move to 6-8. The next 3 games up for them are the Miami Dolphins, the Minnesota Vikings, and the Detroit Lions. So those will be interesting. If Green Bay wins out, of course, they can make it into the playoffs. Also, we need Seattle to lose at least one of their final 3 games too. So a lot of whole mathematical stuff there, and we always do this every year, right? Trying to do all the math and figure out who can get into the playoffs, who can't get into the playoffs, and this and that, and well, technically we're still alive, right? And so that's one of those things there. I mean, you look at it, everybody in the NFC South is technically, mathematically still alive to make it into the playoffs. All the Falcons, the Saints, and the Panthers all at 5-9. So take with that what you will, but it was again a very interesting weekend in the NFL. Had a few comebacks. Obviously, the Colts and the Vikings. I think the big game everybody was talking about on Saturday, this past Saturday. One of the few Saturday games that we had here in the NFL, and it was very interesting to say the least. The Indianapolis played a great game defensively, special teams wise. They were making plays, driving down the field, and of course getting into the end zone, scoring points. It got to a 33-0 lead, and they blew it. The Vikings would end up scoring 39 unanswered points and won the game 39-33. Just a heartbreaking loss there for Jeff Saturday and Matt Ryan and the Colts, as we all know. So, if you're the Colts, you have to find a way to keep that lead. There's no reason you give up that big of a lead. I understand that they're missing some players on defense, and of course Shaquille Leonard not playing. A couple other guys they're missing, and they just don't have all their talent pieces that they want on that side of the football right now. But you still have some decent playmakers. You still got some guys who can play. DeForest Buckner being one of them on the defensive line, Grover Stewart as well in that interior part of the defensive line there. Isaiah Rodgers back there in the secondary, Stephon Gilmore as well. So you got some good football players on the defense. So they just have to find a way to not let that get away. You can't let leads like that slip away in this league. You can't. It's inexcusable. Jeff Saturday knows it. I'm sure he preached it to his team when they got back. From Minnesota, that you can't let games like that happen. You cannot let leads like that slip away of that magnitude. That's a 33-point lead. So in the perfect world, that there shouldn't be. There's no way that the team should give up that lead. But in the perfect world, teams shouldn't also give up a 25-point lead in the Super Bowl either, but we won't go there. But yeah, like I say, it just wasn't a good game there for Indianapolis' defense in the second half. And I also have to give credit to Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings for just continuing to fight back and persevere. And they found a way to win. The Vikings, what I've noticed this year for Minnesota, is they found a way to win these type of games. They just come in and not playing all that well. And then they found a way to get these close. This one wasn't close, but ended up being close in the second half. And they've also had games this year where they've been close, and they've still found a way to win these football games. And that's been the big thing, especially getting into the playoffs. You have to find ways to win games like that. It's because where things aren't going to be in your favor. Some things aren't going to be working for you offensively or defensively. And have a few special teams debacles. And that aren't going to roll your way, some turnovers, but can you overcome that? Can you persevere? Can you fight through it? And can you win the football game? And those are the things that you have to, as a coach, as a team, that you have to sit down and be able to know that your guys can go out there and do that when they face adversity. And that's what Minnesota did on Saturday. So I have to commend them on that. Justin Jefferson, he went out for injury early in the game, but he came back in, had a phenomenal game as well, and he leads the NFL in receiving yards and receptions. He's got 111 receptions, and also is over 1,000 yards receiving this year. So he's been great this year, as we all knew. He's arguably the best receiver in the NFL. I think he is, but that's up for debate. You guys can talk about that in the comments if you want to. But I definitely think Justin Jefferson's the best receiver in the league. And yeah, so it's going to be interesting, as these next few weeks wind down, especially here coming up near close to Christmas. So the big thing that's been a story throughout this week is Jalen Hurts. He is on injury report, sprained his shoulder against the Bears on Sunday. So the growing consensus is that, per Ian Rappaport of NFL Network, that he possibly might not play in Saturday's game on Christmas Eve against the Dallas Cowboys. So we're not sure exactly, but Nick Sirianni did not put him on did not officially rule him out. They said he's a fast healer, so we'll see how it goes. That's pretty much what he said there. But when we get an update on that, we'll let you guys know here on the podcast. However, so just make sure you're following all of our social media accounts to keep up with that. But like I said, I think this is obviously a huge game for both of these teams, for the Cowboys and the Eagles. The Cowboys coming off a heartbreaking loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars on Sunday that they gave up and lead themselves. And, Dak Prescott in the final seconds of the game turned it over through an interception. And one of the Jaguars defenders picked it off and took it for a touchdown in overtime. So, things like that. And I've said this multiple times on this podcast. I'm going to continue to say, and multiple people I've told this to as well. When are we going to sit here and understand that Dak Prescott is not a $40 million quarterback? He's not. Dak Prescott is very good. I think he's a solid quarterback in this league. He's a starting quarterback in this league. But for what the Cowboys are paying him, he's not producing what that's worth. You got guys like Patrick Mahomes who are making slightly less than him. $5, $6, $7 million less that are going out there and they're taking their teams far into the playoffs each and every season. Winning the Super Bowl, right? Mahomes in his second year, in his third year, won a Super Bowl. So Dak's been in the league now for 6 years, and he's not gotten his team past the divisional round. So if you're at that point now, if you're Dallas, where you're wondering, is Dak really worth it? Was he worth paying this big contract to? Is he on the top level of all these other quarterbacks like Mahomes, Brady, Jackson, all these guys? No, he's not. Josh Allen, right? No. Dak Prescott is not on that level. He's not. He's not. He doesn't win football games. He doesn't win when he needs to win. When his team needs him to pull through, make those game-winning plays, just taking them far through the postseason, he can't do it. And the Cowboys have a talented roster, very talented roster, both offensively, defensively. However, they just tend to, for some reason, they just can't play through the whistle, play through the game, the whole game. And in Jacksonville, I got to give credit to. They fought back. They've been playing really good these past couple weeks, and I did have this as an upset going into that game on Sunday, and Jacksonville pulled through. They got the win. Trevor Lawrence has been playing good football this year as well, so that's another thing to look into. But honestly, I just think that Dak Prescott is not worth what they're paying him. Ezekiel Elliott is not either. So basically, all your money is going to those two guys right there. And at some point, you got to make a decision like, okay, yeah, we love Dak. He's our guy, but we're not winning. We're not winning when it matters. We're not winning in the postseason. We're not getting past the first round. We're not getting past the wild card. We're not getting past the divisional round. We've not made it to the conference championship game in over 30 years. So at what point do you sit down and evaluate this position, and say, you know what? We've got to figure out something. And at the halfback position, at the running back position, Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott is making big money too for a running back and for a player that has regressed recently. So 2016, both Dak and Zeke were rookies that year. They lit it up. They were having a great season. Ezekiel Elliott he led the NFL in rushing yards his rookie season. Managed to have a great, I think it was his third year. Yeah. His third year was also good as well, but since then he's just declined. And Tony Pollard, who is the backup running back, is playing extremely well. He plays with great burst, hits the hole. He accelerates through the hole once he sees it. He's got great vision for a running back. Can catch the ball out the backfield. I love what I see from him. I think he's going to be one of the best backs in offseason this year in free agency. And I think a lot of teams will be willing to pay big bucks for him. So if Dallas wants to keep him around, they're gonna have to pay him, and Zeke, you can't pay both of them. And so Jerry Jones and that front office are going to have to figure out something because that's it's not going to work, And I think at this point, Tony Pollard is your number one back, and you just have to roll with him the rest of the way. If you're Dallas, I mean, you're what? You're 10-4. So at this point in the season, so I mean, you just have to, I think Tony Pollard takes the reins from here, and brings Zeke in on short yardage situations if you want to in the goal line packages. But other than that, I don't think he's starting running back anymore in this NFL. I really don't. I just don't see it. I don't think he is. And then like I said, moving back to the Eagles and Jalen Hurts, Jalen Hurts is going to need to play this game because the Cowboys again, despite of all that, what we just said, they saw a great defense, great team overall, and Gardner Minshew would be in line to start if Jalen Hurts cannot go. So we'll see how what ends up happening with that over these next couple of days as we get closer to that Saturday Christmas Eve matchup between Philadelphia and Dallas. Philadelphia at 13-1, best record in the NFL. They've been playing great football this whole year, and what's been the big thing about it is the defense too. Everybody talking about the offense. Everybody talking about Jalen Hurts. He's winning MVP, and he's on that favorite list. Yes, he is. But the big thing I wanted to address was that defense. They lead the NFL in sacks. They got over 50 sacks this year. I believe it's 55 is the correct number, if I'm not mistaken. That's really good. Hassan Reddick, he's having a great year off the edge. Darius Slay out there at cornerback, he's having a great season, right? So it's just a lot of things working in the core of each other. Nakobe Dean in there in the middle, the rookie from Georgia, he's having a great season. They get Jordan Davis back, another Bulldog. So on that interior of the defensive line, along with Fletcher Cox, and those guys. So I mean, what Philadelphia has done and what Howie Roseman has done, building that defense, just getting those solid additions in free agency and through the draft. Just to build them up and make them a relentless unit has been really impressive, and I've been really impressed by that. I think that they've done a great job with that, and on the offensive side of football as well. Trading for AJ Brown from the Titans, bringing him over there, giving Jalen Hurts a top target, which is what he had been missing since he took over starting reins here in Philly. What really Philadelphia has lacked for quite some time now, for some years, they haven't really had a number one receiver. And now you got AJ Brown, who is your guy. You can see the big difference that it's made. Now you got Devontae Smith and Quez Watkins and AJ Brown. So those are your three main receivers. That's a great core of receivers. I think one of the best cores in the league when you look at it. And so moving forward, that's going to come in handy and going into the playoffs because you have to be able to throw the football in the playoffs. You have to be able to throw the football, and you have to be able, and I think Philadelphia is in a good spot, and depending on how they finish the season, if they finish with the number one seed, they'll have the bye first week of the playoffs, and then next round, it'll be a good thing for them and home field advantage. So I think, of course, it's big if Jalen Hurts plays this weekend and they get the win over Dallas, and so that's the good thing. The big picture here that I'm looking forward to, as far as that's concerned. But like I said, crazy week in the NFL this year, crazy weekend of football, and we got another big weekend of football coming up this upcoming weekend as well. On Christmas Eve on Saturday, you got a few matchups, and of course on Christmas Day as well. So as you gather around your fire and the presents under the tree and all that stuff, there will be football on. That's can't ask for anything more, right? That'll make it a great Christmas. Football, friends, family, presents, dinner, hot chocolate, whatever. And yeah, the NFL is here as always, and we'll keep you updated on everything here on Jay Smith Down. So make sure you guys follow us here on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcast. Check us out there. Thank you guys for watching. This has been another edition of the Jay Smith Down Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jaden. Thanks for watching.